why Houston won the Russell Westbrook John Wall trade, and it's not even close. What's up, you guys? My name is Matt Thomas with Hoopsology Podcast. New episodes drop every week, so be sure to check us out anywhere you're listening to podcasts. Like, share, subscribe. We really appreciate your support. Let's get into the topic at hand today. We're going to be talking about the landmark trade that, unless you've been living under a rock, you probably saw. Russell Westbrook was traded from the Houston Rockets, bye-bye, headed to the Washington Wizards for John Wall and a 2023 first-round pick. So let's look at this, because a lot of people that I greatly respect have said that the Wizards won this trade hands down, most likely because they got Russell Westbrook and he has had much better health the past few years than John Wall, who has had a lot of serious injury issues since 2017, really. I think you have to go a little bit deeper than this. If you are talking about who won this trade in terms of lifting their teams up for 2021 regular season record, then yeah, I agree. Probably Washington did win this, but let's look at this from both sides of things, and let's look a little bit beyond 2021. If you are Houston, your performance isn't hurt this year, regardless of what happens on the court, as far as draft prospects go. So you have 2 first-round picks in the 2021 draft. You have a pick from Detroit. You have a pick from Portland. Okay, so most likely Detroit, you're going to get a lottery pick, and then Portland, probably early 20s to late 20s in the first round. So you have at least one, most likely, lottery pick with the Pistons, unless something crazy happens there that I am not projecting to happen. So you have those 2 picks that you can't mess up. So if you are a believer that you can keep James Harden, you can make him happy, even though he already has a foot out the door. He's already dreaming about playing with Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving in Brooklyn. I don't think that's going to happen. I think he gets traded before the trade deadline. But even if you do keep him, even if John Wall is very healthy, you perform really well, you're not hurting your draft prospects. We've had James Harden on the Rockets since, I looked it up, October 27th, 2012. So long. I can't even believe it's been that long that James Harden has been a Rocket. I think you've seen the pinnacle of what James Harden is going to be able to do as the star player, as the go-to option on his team. So I do think his championship prospects are better if he leaves the Rockets. I think it's a shame for Houston that they're going to lose him. And again, I do think he's traded before the trade deadline, but it's time to move on. With this trade, you have set yourself up very well to do that. I don't think this Rockets team is a playoff team without James Harden. So looking into 2022, when Houston has their own draft pick for first and second round, and then looking into 2023, where now they have the Wizards' first round draft pick. I don't think the Wizards will be a good team in 2023 based on aging guards, and that I don't think they're keeping Bradley Beal either. So basically, you have a great shot at 2 lottery picks in 2023. Arguably, maybe, depending on what happens, another lottery pick in 2022. This team could be stacked by the time 2024 rolls around, maybe even sooner, depending on what moves they make. But they are setting themselves up to rebuild pretty quickly. I always like when teams, like what OKC did this offseason, accumulate a lot of first-round draft picks. Give yourself some mobility for this rebuild. So if John Wall is good, if John Wall returns to all-star caliber player type form, let's take best possible scenario. I think people would agree that that's his ceiling right now. Then you have another piece of trade bait. You can flip him potentially for some expirings and maybe some more picks if he looks like he's returned to form. Or you can keep him and still likely be a lottery team in the West, because John Wall and DeMarcus Boogie Cousins, unless Cousins is back to all-star form as well, they're not really going to have a shot at making the playoffs as the top 2 players if you get rid of James Harden. So you're pretty safe regardless of where John Wall goes. Hopefully he doesn't come back just to get injured again or deal with more health issues. We want to see him playing, of course, but if he is injured, then you are increasing your draft stock for the next couple years. So it's somewhat of a win-win when you think of how is John Wall going to perform. Maybe even a potential added bonus that because John Wall and DeMarcus Cousins were teammates at the University of Kentucky, maybe DeMarcus Cousins will be happier in this situation as well, to where if he can perform at an elite level, maybe he's happy and sticks around, performs very well, and doesn't have any additional drama on or off the court. All right, so with Houston, the rebuild is well underway. Let's shift over to looking at the Washington Wizards. Their goal in making this trade, they signaled pretty clearly, they want to be contenders in the East. They want to be at least a playoff team. I think their ceiling, being generous, is around the 6th seed in the East. There are rumors that they are looking to add another star player. I don't know if they'll be able to do that. So things may change, but as constructed now with Westbrook and Bradley Beal as the 2 stars of your team, I think your ceiling is around the 6th seed in the East. I think making the playoffs is an admirable goal. I appreciate teams that go for it, even though I just praised Houston for essentially, some could say, maybe tanking. I do think they are setting themselves up well for the future. There's potentially a plan there that they've constructed. Whereas with Washington, I think that they have gone all in 2021. So if you like that, then maybe you disagree with my take here that the Houston Rockets won this trade. But let's dig into this a little bit more, because there are a lot of moving pieces at work. For one thing, Bradley Beal has said he's cool with Russell Westbrook joining the team. I don't know that that's going to last. We have a bad track record with Russell Westbrook, and this is not to bash Russell Westbrook. I think off the court, he seems like a really good dude. I saw a great tweet thread of all of these former teammates praising Russell Westbrook, talking about how much they loved him as a teammate. But when the whistle blows and that tip ball goes, all of that goes out the window, because Russell Westbrook is still that guy who's going to go 2 for 8 from the three-point line and just keep jacking up those shots, keep going for him. He indicated this offseason that he still wants to be the man regardless of wherever he plays. So he's coming into Washington thinking that he is Batman, when Bradley Beal should be Batman, not Russell Westbrook. I don't know that he is looking to defer in this situation. And has this worked well in the past with Russell Westbrook? Again, not to bash on the guy, but we've seen KD leave him in OKC. We've seen Paul George leave him in OKC. We've seen him now leave James Harden in Houston. Everything seemed to be cool from a chemistry point between those two guys. There could have been other issues deep down. I mean, both of those guys, Russell Westbrook, his MVP year, high usage rate. James Harden, high usage rate. Just didn't really seem to mesh. We may see a similar situation unfold here in Washington. And furthermore, Bradley Beal, it's widely reported, was close to John Wall. They were close personal friends and teammates. They had a real bond. It seemed like, going into Bradley Beal getting drafted and kind of coming up in Washington, John Wall might have had a problem deferring, but I think they were reaching a mutual understanding where Bradley Beal was going to be Batman this year, since I keep using this analogy, and John Wall was going to defer a little bit more coming off of this injury. So I don't know that you've improved your chances of Bradley Beal staying. Personally, call me cynical, call me jaded, whatever. I don't think that there's a great chance that Bradley Beal stays on the Wizards regardless of this trade. I think it's kind of a wash. If anything, though, it may have a more negative impact than anticipated. So, star point guards at over 30 years old. Let's take a look at this. By the time Russell Westbrook is about to come off the books, Washington will have given up their first round pick for the 2023 season. So if we're thinking Russell Westbrook is somehow going to reverse course and become a better player in Washington, maybe there's a chance, since Scotty Brooks is the coach there, maybe he can coach him up and rekindle some of the magic that they had in OKC. I personally think we just know who Russell Westbrook is. And now, if you have Bradley Beal exit after 2021, after 2022, if there's any chance of that, and you don't get comparable talent in a year that may be bad for the Wizards in 2023, you've now given up your first-round draft pick. So that lottery pick goes to Houston at this point. So that's why I think Houston has won this trade, hands down. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Is it worth it to maybe sacrifice your future to have this one season, allegedly maybe a magical season with Russell Westbrook and Bradley Beal? Is it worth it that they have potentially sacrificed their future to do this? Or are you with me in that, thinking long term here, Houston could potentially rebuild and get over losing James Harden, as I suspect they will this upcoming season? Can they get over that maybe by 2023, depending on what they bring in with the draft and other offseason moves that they're going to need to make? Let me know what you guys think. Again, check out the podcast, new episodes weekly. Take care. Thanks for watching the video. Have a good one.